Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to, well, can you see me, Steve, here slightly?
Yeah, I can just about
We've got
see.
an Ultrasound scanner. If anybody doesn't know, I got a nasty tennis injury a couple of weeks ago and tore the medial head of my calf muscle with gastrocs. Can you see the screen now, Steve?
Yeah.
And so what have we got here, Steve, in front of us?
You've got a Sonoscape E1. So that's
Okay.
that's our entry-level scanner.
Yes.
Or in other terms, £5,000. That's what we've got in front of you. So yeah, that's our entry-level scanner, the E1, from the Sonoscape range. All of our scanners are from Sonoscape. Not to be confused with Sonosight. We are Sonoscape, or we supply the Sonoscape.
So. Okay. And you are from CelticSMR.
Almost. CelticSMR. CelticSMR Healthcare. So we supply scanners, X-rays, laser therapy, a lot into the veterinary market, but that's CelticSMR. But CelticSMR Healthcare, that's our branch that effectively we go into the healthcare, as the name would suggest.
Okay.
So quite new to the market, to the UK healthcare market, I should say. Sonoscape are not new to healthcare at all around the UK, around the world, but relatively new to the UK. We've had a really good take up from podiatry. Podiatry being a really been a lot of interest generated from podiatry. I mean, I don't think
so. Sonoscape's a global company, has been around for years, and this is a very good entry level machine.
Yeah.
And so, what can it image? What does ultrasound do then, Stephen?
Well, it can pretty much image anything. It's the probe that differentiates it between what you might use it for. That very same unit there could scan a dog to see if it's pregnant, to put it bluntly. But you'd have a different probe. You'd have a different probe stuck into it.
So there's different settings on the musculoskeletal probe.
Exactly. So you've got an MSK setting. Yeah. So it's a linear probe typically. That's the most popular within healthcare work, particularly podiatry, healthcare in general. That probe there, that's a 741.
And you put some gel on the leg or on the probe because it helps to conduct the.
You need the gel. You won't get an image without the gel. And throughout scanning, sometimes the image might fade slightly, and sometimes it could be as simple as a bit more gel needed, particularly around bony areas. If you're scanning knees and things like that, podiatrists in particular, you're applying the gel quite a lot around the ankle area because you've got to make sure you're getting that contact.
Okay. And I mean, what we're looking at on screen now is a combination of skin at the top and then down through the layers of muscle in the calf muscle at the back of the leg, the gastrocnemius. Yeah. And we can see the layers between there, and you can see the actual sort of fibers of the muscle. And up here you can see a little bit of sort of fat and things. And as we get further on up the leg into the knee, round onto the inside of the knee, and probably more gel on here is needed. I mean, you can actually look at sort of bone and joint and meniscus.
Yeah, I mean,
here's my patella tendon, the tendon at the front of the knee.
Exactly, and you're getting a dynamic view there, which is one of the real advantages of a scanner as opposed to. Sorry.
You can see it moving. I mean, it's as you said.
Yeah, exactly. Dynamic. Yeah, you're getting a dynamic. Yeah, so you can get your patients, particularly if you're looking at plantar fasciitis, that kind of thing. You can get some movement going on and see exactly what's going on in there. The interpretation of the scan is the skill.
Yeah, it's for clinical diagnosis. It is. Exactly. I mean, it's just instantaneous, and there's not invasive at all. It doesn't hurt.
It's
some people may be worried about scans, and if we have a look at
good point. Yeah, I mean, you as I say, it's as I say, a lot of my conversations, but not exclusive, are to podiatrists. we've had a really good take up.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you say the diagnosis side of things, because, you know, scanning in podiatry is nothing new. You know, this has been going on for many years, but I think all podiatrists would admit or accept that it's still quite rare. It's not, you don't walk into every podiatry clinic and find a scanner. You know, I wouldn't want to put a number on it, a ratio on it, but I reckon I could walk into 20 random clinics and probably only see one. Yeah.
In the UK and Ireland, it'd be very few. And I think in other countries, especially in America, it would be probably most standard
for sure.
practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And then absolutely. And then even then within a UK practice where, you know, I mean, we've got modest numbers out there, but I'm really proud of the numbers that we've got out there. And it's growing all the time. And my inquiries are coming in all the time. So there's obviously the interest in there. Obviously the last 6 months is not really, I don't think too many businesses have gauged their success in the last 6 months. It's been an unusual time, but up until March, we were getting, a lot of interest from the, sounded like Cilla Black then, didn't I? A lot of interest. We're getting a lot of interest from the podiatrists. Now, you say about the diagnosis, that's what it's used for. Yeah. Even the podiatrists that are taking a scanner on, or you know, it doesn't have to be just podiatrists. This, as I say, other healthcare professionals as well. They use it to different degrees. Some practitioners just use it to rule in and rule out, confirm what they're thinking. They want to make a diagnosis and they want to confirm. They want to rule in, they want to rule out. Others take it to the complete other end of the scale, if you like, and they might, you know, they are making a full diagnosis. They've got the skill sets to do that. They've got the certification, if you want, to do that. And they'll even go and upsell themselves to other practitioners and say, look, send your patients to me. I can properly diagnose for you. So there's two ends of the scale, if you will, where it can be used and to the level it's used. Sorry. Yeah,
well, they're also using it a lot of times for treatment as well, with injectables.
Well, then of course you got the guided injections. Our units were used at a cadaver course a week or so ago down in London. The guys from MSK US, really good resource. I can tell you some other resources, but these guys in particular invited me along, and they were doing guided injections, into cadavers. So, and that's a big thing. You know, some would argue now, guided, injections guided is the gold standard. You wouldn't do it without.
Is it not like is it not in I mean, I would think in America and Australia you wouldn't be allowed to do an injection unless it was guided, ultrasound guided. I certainly know in Australia a lot of insurance companies don't pay out unless that's the gold standard is ultrasound guided.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Back to me for a minute, just for a second, because people are having their lunch now, Steve. So what they want to sort of see is skin, fat, and muscle, and the striations in the muscle, and then this large black linear line here, which sort of like in between the muscle. That shouldn't really be there. So that's the injury.
That's you stretching too much on the tennis court. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a little bit overactive tennis court. But let's see, we can go down a little. Wrong way. Yeah, I think we can bring the focus down.
And this is where it's great. This is where it's great in practice, because you can show your patients this. Some people are a bit cautious of what they show their patients. They want to make a diagnosis and they don't want to, I don't know, scare their patient. So there's mixed reviews on this, but you can include it. You can include your patient, so you can tell them, you can show them, this is why you're in pain. This is why I need you to do X, Y, Z to get you better, kind of thing.
That's why I'm holding my leg here. So if you can see this, let me see, I had it better earlier on. We just move the probe around. A little bit more gel should help things. Then we shall be able to, you can actually see where is he? He was there somewhere. He's definitely there. I can feel it.
Cured. Gone already.
Well, I have been doing a little bit of self-massaging. There we go. So this large sort of black aperture there. Where's he gone? This large black hole. It shouldn't really be there.
No.
Just move this back a little bit. Just get the leg better. Here we are.
Can you get your camera?
Black hole.
Can you get your camera on the probe? Where you're pointing the probe, without losing the screen?
We can bring it down. You can see my leg here. So this is where we're pointing the probe onto the inside of my calf muscle. You can see that.
I now apologise to everybody if they are having their lunch. Yeah, I can see that. So I was just.
And it's back on the screen now. It's back on the screen. Yeah, and this large black mass there, and if we pause the screen, and we can see just across here with these nifty little caliper, you can measure it. So when the black starts over here,
that's where it can be so useful to your patients. You can measure it, and then you can, to put it straight forward, you can have it before and after. Sorry. Yeah.
Quickly through it.
If in doubt, just go back to the probe. If you overcomplicated the image, just go straight back to the probe. That's what I call Control Alt Delete. Go back to the probe, start again. Out on the setting.
Yeah. So this large aperture here, and if we hold that and calipers on and measure across the screen from here. Well, I don't think we've got the whole of it in, and it's 45 millimeters, 4.5 centimeters. What's that in old money, Steve? About 2.5, 3 inches, 2.5 inches or so.
Yeah.
And so we can measure that and the depth of it, and then we can unlock the screen. Then we can copy an image of this for future reference on the file, and then we can go back to the scanning again. So it's all very, even you can do it, and I only got
can you see the dual screen? Can you see a button with dual screen on, I should say? You can go dual screen. So now, again, some practitioners like this function because you can show normal and abnormal to your patients. So you could go to the other side and show your patient. So you should have the. Again, that's a really good function that people like, and they can, as I say, those that like to.
There was something just here in my good leg, so I don't know, and it has been feeling a little bit heavy. So I don't know whether there's just a little tear just there as well.
Okay. I'm just going to throw a disclaimer in to anybody that's watching. A quick disclaimer: Justin can see a very good image.
1.3 centimeters, just over an inch. And how do I move the next screen over then? So if I keep this screen on the left leg, the good leg, how do I get the image on the right?
I can't see it very well, but you should just be able to start scanning. You should just start scanning your other leg. You should start getting an image. It's a bit blurred what we're seeing, to be honest with you, Justin. I just put a disclaimer in to promise people that you're seeing a better image than us.
Just give it a second to settle down. Okay.
Yeah.
And how do we get the second image up? It doesn't just start scanning, unfortunately.
Should do. If you press the dual.
You press the dual. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
There we go. So dual and then dual again. So here's the
just for the audience, the screen on the left now is what you've just scanned, and that's frozen. And now you can try and get an identical image on the other. And so, as I say, you can see. If you're an experienced scanner, you'll know what normal and abnormal is. I mean, the advice I give to people is just scan, 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 bore people, bore your friends, bore your family, scan. Once you get familiar with normal, you'll soon identify abnormal. So, just scan, scan, scan. But this is just a nice function that sometimes if you do want to include your patients as to this is, because they don't know what it should look like and what it shouldn't look like. They know it hurts.
Yeah.
But, so that's just a nice function for that. As I say, not all practitioners choose to use that. They would have the scanner looking away from the patient so the patient can't see anything. They prefer to do that. That's their choice.
All my patients used to use like flashy lights and things that went bing.
Yeah,
I would think it's a quite good thing for your practice to use. And of course, we can image along other things now as well. But we'll leave that for another day. Yeah, there's fantastic resources on that the Ultrasound US site. I was looking at some of those
Did you look?
through a whole range of.
There's I send people, when people inquire to me and they want resources, I send them to 2 or 3 that I typically go to. There's no hidden agenda. We're not in business with these guys. They're just, for me, it's goodwill for my customers or prospective customers invariably. And you've got somebody that's called the SMUG. That's a Sports Medicine Ultrasound Group. You've got the Ultrasound site, and you've got MSK Ultrasound. Now, all of these websites are great resources. They're all great resources. Essentially, they're ran by enthusiasts. They're run by enthusiasts. I'm sure they've got people working for them now, but they're run by enthusiasts that they're typically, in those 3 cases, they're all physios, but they're absolutely enthusiastic about scanning, and they've got years and years and years of experience of scanning. And they've got some really good resources online. So I always send people there. But I'm going to throw in a little plug, because the guys at the Institute, IOCP, ran by a chap called Abid Ali, he does a really, really good one for podiatry. So this is a podiatrist with 10, 15 years, I'm going to say 15 years experience, I believe, but more than 10, of scanning, a podiatrist, as I say. So his course is based on low.
I mean, I've done a course. I've done courses before with Nat Padir.
Fab.
Course a couple of years ago.
You just name dropped the legend. Dr. Nat, as I would like to call him, he's got on the 3rd and 4th of December, he's got a sports medicine conference, we believe, still at the moment, as long as Boris doesn't do anything stupid in the next few months. But he's doing and a big part of the agenda. Sorry,
I'd planned to have courses, but I don't think those are going to happen. So it'd be interesting to see if they go ahead.
Yeah, it'd be great if it does, because the big part of the agenda for those 2 days is Nat and other people talking about the importance of scanning within sports medicine and podiatry. And we've got some workshops over the 2 days. Our scanners are going to be there for workshops, so people can have a play. People have never scanned before, have a play and have a go. And so so it's fun. It's interesting. You should mention that. I'm really, really looking forward to that in December, and God willing.
Yes, I mean, there's interesting coming ahead with ultrasound scanning and developments in the field in terms of we mentioned the injectables, and also using. Well, of course, there's the whole range of injectables for joints, like the hyaluronic acid, the osteonil, the steroids, with or without the injectables for the gels for sort of cushioning and offloading joints, and also then Botox as well, then for ligaments, loosening off. There's interesting research coming out of colleagues in Birmingham soon.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Alex and injecting Botox ligaments around the joint and allowing it to release without surgery. So interesting times ahead. So we're not going to bore everybody with stuff, because there's lots of online resources, and you have an online evening tomorrow night as well, don't you? Or this evening?
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, since quite early on into lockdown, I think mid-June, we started doing some weekly webinars, and we pick a part of the body each week. We're doing a weekly webinar of an evening. We're doing them Thursdays, but we've switched to, as of tomorrow. As of this week, we've switched to Wednesday. So our next one is tomorrow, Wednesday. We're looking specifically at the hamstring. But say we've got 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Yeah.
You'll catch with me. Sorry, I won't be there because we've got my what the F is all this biomechanics about tomorrow, where we're going to continue.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, that sounds a bit more interesting. But those that like scanning, join us. Don't switch over to us. But no,
we're going to talk about Alex Limitus.
Okay.
So 8 o'clock.
You throw in names like Dannenberg, I can't compete. Dannenberg, Sheldon. I mean, I'm going to struggle. But it's not me doing the webinar. You'll be pleased to know it's actually Abid and his colleague from Arden Forest Ultrasound, Adrian Berman. So knowledgeable, brilliant, really knows his stuff. The 2 of them have been brilliant the last few months for us, and the feedback we've had, and they just kind of simplify. I wouldn't say simplify, that's unfair, because scanning isn't simple, but they pitch it, albeit it's on a Zoom. We'd much rather be doing these in workshops. Hopefully the workshops come back soon, but on a Zoom in 1 hour, they kind of pitch it really good. We have people that are pretty experienced at scanning. We have people that are just thinking about scanning, and they all seem to take something from that hour. So I'm really proud of what we put on. All those past weeks that we've done are on our website, where you can download the recordings of previous weeks. And as I say, you can go into a particular field of interest, whether it be the heel, the ankle, shoulder. You go find what you're interested in, go and have a look. But if people are considering scanning, then you get onto these kind of webinars, have a look at these courses that are available, and just see if it's for you. It's a skill that you won't learn overnight. People know this, but you won't learn it overnight. But it'd be surprising, a day of scanning, you'll be surprised how soon you start thinking, oh, I'm getting it now, kind of thing. This is making a bit of sense. I'm not saying a day later you're an expert, but
no, the courier came yesterday morning about 11 or so, and I had to play with this for an hour or two.
Okay,
that's pretty cool. We'll do some more, especially more around the foot and ankle ligaments and things, which would be interesting. And the sinus tarsi, it'd be good to sort of image smaller joints and things. Because my colleague Sean Savage in Belfast, Sean did the original scan on me and saw the original tear. He just did that 2 or 3 days, and interesting enough, all the bruising has gone down inside. There's a lot less. In the image, but the tear is still there. So Sean Savage in Belfast, he does a lot of injections. Him and Suzanne Hamilton use ultrasound.
Both got our ultrasound.
They completed that courses in London recently.
So I believe. I haven't spoken to them directly, but since. But good guys. They know their stuff, and they're real. I
think that's one of the things that Sean said when we were talking on one of the previous "What the F is all this biomechanics about" evenings, is that it is you got to know your anatomy. You got to know where things are, because you need to know. Otherwise, it can be needle and haystack stuff.
Absolutely, and this is an interesting thing, and we talk about if we want to get on to Sorry, Justin.
You need to know where tendons run. You need to know where nerves are. You need to know where, if you are injecting, where you're going to be going.
And people will claim to know their anatomy, and then you start scanning, and then you realize you don't know your anatomy. You've got to know your anatomy to scan. And it's interesting because, if we wanted to talk about the future of podiatry or that kind of thing, I'm not familiar with all the universities, but my sense is there probably is a scanner in some of the universities, but it's used for anatomy training. They don't use it for anything beyond that, which is a real shame, really. If I was talking to any students, and we get students coming to our webinar, I say, ask who you need to ask in your university to have a go on that scanner, have a play, and one or two have said, no, maybe we should. And as I say, because I think at the moment, scanning in universities is just used for anatomy training and not anything beyond that. And it's a shame, really. It's a real shame.
I would have thought there would have been quite an extended scope. I did use scanners before when I was in practices in London. We mainly focused on X-ray and other scans, and the way just the legislation in Ireland here, if I wanted injections for the high volume injections into tendons, high volume tendon stripping, we would send that to the friendly radiologist. Who was expert at doing it, so it is within the sort of scope of extended practice, obviously, certain places. You really got to know your anatomy. As you say, the more time you have on the machine, well, I've got this. How long have I got this for until we're healed? Because I was thought at the start this was going to be 4 to 6 weeks, but wiser physiotherapy and rehab colleagues tell me I'm an 8 to 10 week case before we get back to playing in.
Right.
So you can watch this space. We're going to be doing chin-ups and TRX and upper body, as well as rehabbing the calf. So there'll be interesting times ahead. I've got a program, but I've got to start. I'm never very good at sticking to programs. I'm not very good at finishing things out. But we will, we've got to get back, because you can't be doing this again. And there was obviously there was an underlying reason why it went in the first place anyway, even with the extra load of the tennis. A lot of eccentric and calf weakness is going to be the reason that tore, even though I did build it up gradually. So yeah, long road ahead, but interesting times, and we'll be keeping people updated. We're going to do a check-in. Well,
good.
Well, you never know. We'll keep you posted. So Steve, how can people get a hold of CelticSMR? Just online, Google CelticSMR Healthcare.
CelticSMR Healthcare, absolutely. Go straight on there. You can see
right. The scanner here now is I mean, I thought it was about 30 or 40 grand's worth. You told me this is £5,000 sterling plus VAT.
Exactly. That one there you got there. Yeah. Listen,
it folds down. It's portable. You can bring it around with you in this little little case. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. And I mean, if you were piggyback with a group practice, or even if you weren't, you could share it with a local physiotherapist or a couple of local practitioners. It would only cost a few hundred each. I'm sure you mentioned.
I believe when you mentioned Sean and Suzanne, I believe they would take them to their local football and rugby teams. I believe. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn there. I believe you do. And it comes in a carry case. There's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't. I think there's an hour and a half, 2 hour battery life on them if you haven't got access to electric. Sorry,
you could do a pitch side if you're going to off to training, but it's very good value. And when you it does.
With scanning, with the scanners, quite frankly, pay your money, make your choice. That's £5,000 there. As you say, it surprised you, the starting point. You'll get you'll get a better scanner the more you spend, naturally, and that's obvious, I know. But there's the next scanner up, the E2, which is very, very popular, which is used by a lot of the pods. That's £7,500, circa £8,000. You get a colour Doppler straight away with that, but you also get a better image. Then you can jump up to £10,000, and it's another, better again. And then you go to £12,000. But you never, I strongly believe for MSK work, you do not have to spend more than 12. Well, let's put a price on it, £15,000. No need to go beyond that at all for MSK work.
So an entry level at 5 is pretty good. And I mean, yes, well, as you say, I think or Leo, a lot of people would have a lot of football teams, rugby teams would have these in their in the medical equipment room. I know that the ballet shows and the dance groups, they would have ready access to this sort of imaging equipment in-house, because obviously early diagnosis on a problem is, especially if you're dancing or going to play football or rugby in a few days after the training. It's pretty essential to know the extent of the injury as soon as possible, and ultrasound is one of those easiest things to do. So I say we'll keep everybody posted, and we'll catch back up again. I'm sure you'll get back to me. We'll be back in a week or two. I'll keep out for me. We're both on tomorrow afternoon at 8 o'clock. I'm on again tomorrow morning with Dave James, Celia Champion, and Kate Markland at their usual time of 7 o'clock.
I shall tune into that. I like to tune in. I like to tune in.
Thank you for not talking about sailing or tennis.
Well, I was going to say, I normally tune into that session to hear about your latest sailing and tennis. So,
well, I can go sailing. Go sailing in a week or so. There's not much walking and sailing, so
no, you can do sailing.
Okay, you hang on there.
Leave the tennis alone.
So thanks very much, everybody. Hopefully you get back to your lunch. Anybody's got any questions or anything for us, we will be catching up. And don't forget what the F is all about mechanics about tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening at 8 in my live my Fast Track Clan private Facebook group. Speak to you soon.
Thank you. Stay safe, everybody.